So maybe we'll start with the first question. So what motivated you to make this movie? Really simple question, but to open up the debate.
Actually, the idea came from my partner, the executive producer of the film, Ramona Di Marco. She once came to me and said, do you know that we still have 3 different cities divided by walls? It was a research that she was making, and she was upset and amused about this information. And I said, no, I don't think I know the other cities. I know about Cyprus. I know the situation in Palestine, especially in Bethlehem, because it's a very particular situation, but I didn't know about the walls of Belfast. So it was shocking for me, and I said, okay, this is a great story for a documentary. And beyond the political point of view, we went to try to capture the feelings and the difficulties of the people living there, especially those who are against the wall. So this is how it all started.
I have a question because I was really moved by the story of the person who was in a choir, who was singing with other people from beyond the wall, and I think that I would like to know if you agree with this idea that cultural sharings can really be useful to abolish the psychological wall that still exists. And I thought that was really interesting. And do you think that it will be a great way to make things get better?
Sure, I believe culture affect the behavior of people, especially documentaries. Actually, documentaries are very important to inform, educate, widen our vision of the world and of our life, and let us feel people far away from us. Michel has a very wide experience, a great experience producing documentaries in China. We are very ignorant when we talk about China. We don't know anything about Chinese culture, daily life. We know the stereotypes. So this is, for example, amazing for me to be informed and entertained. This is the difference. We are not news makers, so we don't do reportage for the news. We go in deep, looking for feelings, emotions, ideas, sufferness, joy, happiness, beauty. Beauty can be found in very simple things. So we know a little bit. And this is what's very strange, that now with all of this technology that make us from US, Paris, I don't know, Michel, if he is in the south now or in Paris. I'm in Cairo now. Ramona is connected with us from Rome. With all of this technology, but unfortunately we are ignorant. We don't know a lot. So culture enhance the behavior of the people and can solve problems. If I don't know you, I will be a little bit worried. You're a pretty young girl, so I'm not afraid of you, but I will be a little bit sophisticated, okay, not in my ease. Till I get to know you, then I can create a nice human relationship with you. So those people are divided by walls and no one knows what's happening on the other side. And they are influenced by the political propaganda that behind this wall, there are enemies. They don't know anything. So here culture and Costa's story with the ethnic choir was very important. And even the songs they used to sing has a clear message in this way. So he was a very strong character, although his presence in the film was very delicate, which is different from the other characters.
Yes, I agree.
I wanted to ask you, how did you choose the people you interviewed? Did you just met them randomly during your trip, or did you contact them before going there?
Actually, this is a nice question. For years, I didn't watch the movie. I just watched it a few hours ago to be ready for this discussion, to remember some things. So I remembered how all the stories behind the scenes, as they say. So we used to go, me and Ramona, for scouting in each country, and meet some candidates. We had fixers or executive producers in each country. They helped us to reach people that meet the criteria we put, that we were looking for ordinary people against the wall. Some of them weren't the type we were looking for. Others, we just were mad about them, and we felt in love with them, like the Taskin family from the Turkish part of Cyprus. From the first meeting, we said, yes, they are protagonists of this film. So were Costas, the same. Costas and had a very good impact, positive impact on us from the first meeting. In Palestine and Bethlehem, the research was very limited because we were looking for Christian Palestinians. As you know, that political propaganda presents the conflict there as a religious conflict between Muslims and Jew, but it's not the truth. It's not the truth. And there are Christian Palestinians. Don't forget that Jesus was born there. So we were looking for Christian Palestinians with particular situation, because the wall in Bethlehem is very particular. It's not the wall that separates the Israeli territory from the West Bank. The wall itself enters in Bethlehem and then goes out again to be a border wall. So just takes part from Bethlehem. This is the case of the two characters, Metri and Claire from Bethlehem. So the research there was very limited. In Belfast, we had a lot of stories. We met a lot of people, really a lot of people there. But we were very impressed by Chernan, by Frankie Quinn, the photographer, and also by Chris. Chris is a fantastic personality. So after meeting a lot of people, we decided to keep with these three from Belfast.
So what you just say raises another question for me. Did you meet people who were glad that those walls still existed nowadays?
Yes, the walls still exist.
Okay. Did you meet people who wanted those walls to exist still, like people who supported?
Yes, unfortunately, yes, but this wasn't our criteria. Our point of view, which is, I think it's clear in the film, that we are against these walls, because these walls are not border walls. They are walls that divide the same land. Okay, so it's completely nonsense, the existence of these walls. So we were against them. In Cyprus, in Belfast, we met people cheering for the walls. Others are very afraid if the walls will come down one day. They are afraid. What we were saying a few minutes ago, you don't know the other person behind the wall, so you feel afraid of this enemy. So a lot of them, yes, they feel afraid. They feel more secure by the existence of the wall.
And when you were filming in those areas, did you get negative comments from either people that didn't meet the criteria you were saying to star in the movie, or just people passing by? Did you have any problem with
No, thank God, no, but we had very weird couple of incidents in Belfast. The situation in Belfast was the most dangerous one, because in Bethlehem, you can, if there will be troubles, you will see the Israeli soldiers moving. So you can predict that there is troubles. Cyprus, no. Cyprus, it's very peaceful, the situation. In Belfast, no. In Belfast, ordinary people, they clash with each other every day. So the first day of filming, we were filming Chris crossing with his wheelchair from his part, the Protestant part, to the Catholic part. And we were preparing the camera and everything. Some young guys, I think teenagers, saw us from the part of Chris, okay, just behind his home, and they start throwing beer bottles. Okay, it was just like raining. The sky was raining beer bottles, crashing all over the place. I was afraid. My friend Alessandro, the cameraman, was afraid. Strange enough for us that time, Chris and all the other crew from Belfast, they just moved a little bit to avoid the beer bottles, because they are used to it. And they told us that no one in Belfast didn't get a stone or a bottle on the head while just walking in the street. This is normal in life. Another accident, which was very weird, once we went to film a manifestation of the Orange Order. It was night, it was very, very cold, it was raining, very few people were participating, but because that manifestation is on the borderline between a very crowded area, Catholic area, and the Protestant area, and the police was there, snipers were on the roof of some buildings because they are afraid of clashes. So we asked the police where we can be safe to film, and we asked the organizers where we can be safe. And we, I think, spent a couple of hours filming, but there were nothing happening interesting, just a manifestation, a calm one. So we went home. That night, I used to hear the helicopter all the night was flying all over Belfast. And in the morning, our fixer told us with a sense of humor, very relaxing, do you know what they discovered yesterday? What? They discovered a bomb. Do you know where the bomb is? It was in the same place where we were putting our camera. So we would have lost our lives there in Belfast for a silly situation like this. So these are the two accidents happened, but actually no, we were lucky not to have major problems or conflicts. No, actually we had very good collaboration from the population.
Okay. And well, it's a bit what you just said. We wanted to ask you if you faced restrictions when filming in these images.
Restrictions?
Maybe restrictions not to convey the images, not to project these images of the walls, or I don't know how. I mean, these walls exist, but the authorities are okay with you projecting their existence through this film, or in general?
Actually, we didn't face any objection from the authorities in the three countries. No, no one objected.
Okay, thank you. There is one question about the length of the movie. So you usually do, you mainly do documentaries. We wanted to ask you, why do you choose to do this type of film? Why this length of film?
Why this film?
Yeah, why film it as a documentary? I mean, what was the meaning you wanted to convey through it? Well,
in this film, the message which was important for me and for Ramona when we started, that human beings are the same. They suffer the same. They dream the same. Everyone has the right to have a normal life without these fears and restrictions and conflicts. So if they are talking in Arabic or in English or in Greek or in Turkish, they are human beings. So this is I think the power of this film, that we are not talking about one ethnic group. We are talking about different people in different countries, even in different, are very far away from each other, but they share the same dreams and difficulties.
And yes, I wanted to ask a question about this. As a film director, how do you manage to convey the feelings of the people that you interviewed? I think it's not always easy to really convey what they think. And yes, is there like technical aspects that you used or that you thought of?
The most difficult or sensitive thing and aspect in making a documentary with people is to obtain people's trust. If they trust you, they will open their minds, their homes, their feelings, and they will tell you and show you and accept your presence in their homes or in their cars or during their daily life with them, and they will act normally. They will not be sophisticated or acting in front of the camera. So this is I think the most delicate part a documentary maker must enhance his ability to gain this confidence. And you need to spend a lot of time with people. And I used to do something very, which I discovered making films. I mean, I built my experience. I must tell them, I don't, in the first approach, in the first time I meet a candidate character for a film, I don't start asking him questions.
Okay.
I never ask, okay, tell me your story. I'm here to make a film, so please tell me your story. No. I start telling them my story. Who I am, where I lived, my wife, my son, my dog, my mother, my father. I used to tell him who I am, because if they don't know me, they will not be in ease to tell me their stories. After a while, after days, and we spend together so many days, or we meet so many times, they start to feel that like talking to a real friend. And actually, in all my documentaries, I still have contacts with all characters. Some of them visited me in my home later on. Some of them hosted my son when he went in a journey to their country. So now we are friends. Yani actually, Frankie Quinn should be, I hope he will join us after a while, because he promised that he will try to join us. Chernan apologized because he is working in a hotel, so he cannot join us because he's working. Chris also has another engagement, even Sue. But I told all of them that we will be here, and that it will be great if they join us.
Okay.
So a question for Michel Noll. Well, in French or in English. So what is your criteria to produce a film? Because yeah.
Okay, that's maybe it is also very personal, a little bit like what Sheriff is telling us. I've traveled quite a bit, and I'm always looking for interesting stories that tell us about other people's lives and other people's solutions to solve conflicts, to achieve difficult objectives, to make life more beautiful. And whenever I come across a story that I think interests me, I go deeply into the story and try to see if this is something we can share and put into the form of a narrative story in a documentary. So I would really try to say as an answer that if I come across an interesting story that is worth sharing and that can help and inspire other people, I try to make it. Now, it's not always easy because filming costs money, and sometimes budgets are quite important. So we need to find financiers who are ready to support what we're doing. And in this respect, I think Sheriff is a great master of a filmmaker, in the sense that he seems to be managing more than I maybe even to find money, because he has friends among the television industry too who trust that he can deliver good stories that they then show on television. I found his story. Effectively, he had made a feature version of this film. And because it doesn't fit into the television slots that are like very often 1 hour slots, 52 minutes, I thought that it was such a nice film. It was a pity that many people who might want to show the film but don't have the right time slot. We decided together to make a 52-minute version of the film with a French editor of mine that lives and works in Marseille. We went to see her, and she gave the version that you have seen today. So it's a good story, a moving story, a story that can inspire other people, and that is acceptable in the audiovisual world. Television is terribly formatted. So if you want to get on television, you need to fit those formats. Fortunately, the documentary is gaining a lot of weight in the cinema area, in the movie theaters. So the feature versions of films have much more chance today than 10 or 15 years ago. So there's some hope that we are not always contrived to go into half hours or 1 hour. Voilà, I hope this answers your question.
Yes, thank you. And so as the president of Écran des Mondes, you distribute and you promote the work of many filmmakers around the world. So in this movie, what was exactly your role in the production of this movie?
I had Sharif has made this movie on his own with his team, of course, and with a big television network supporting him. And I saw the feature version when it was finished. So my role, and then I called the sheriff and said, hey, how can we get this into television? Are you interested that we talk about how we can do this, and let's do it together? So we have, if you like, co-produced the 1 hour version that you have seen, which continues to exist, which is bought by certain television stations. But the feature version also exists and continues and is ready to be shown in festivals, for instance. So I think it's important that we give more than one chance to certain films. And indeed, my commitment as president of Écran des Mondes is to make sure that there are so many good films made by independent filmmakers like Sharif that are staying on the shelves because these independent people are committed to their films. They don't have the network, they don't have the time to run around the world to try to sell their films. They wouldn't be necessarily good at it anyway, because if somebody is good at making a film, it doesn't necessarily mean he's good at selling his film. So as you can see with the white hair here, I have made many, many films myself, directed or produced. But now I think, and when I started, the real problem was there are not enough good movies. So I started to make some, to contribute to make more movies. Today, I think the problem is different. There are so many movies and so many good movies that it's almost impossible now to choose. So every night you can see, I don't know how many movies you want on streaming platforms, on YouTube, on everywhere. So how do you choose? When I started out, maybe there was one good documentary a week. You know, today maybe you have 500. The difficulty, which is why I created Écran des Mondes and work in this way now, the difficulty is if you are not within the commercial system as an independent producer, your film has much, much less chances to be seen. So it's important to create, in fact, these independent films, like the one of Sharif that you saw tonight, sits between two chairs. It's not commercial in the sense that it's shown on 125 TV stations. And it's not artistic enough, in inverted commas, to be shown at Cannes Film Festival. But in between those two, there's a huge number of very good films, thought-provoking, inspiring, beautiful, never told, but they sit nowhere because they're not commercial enough or they're not artistic enough. And for this middle part, I have created this Écran des Mondes who helps people who have these films to be seen on, that's why we have the platform, and that's why I organize festivals. I organize 6 festivals to show these films. And what is important, which I'm very pleased to say, is that when I organize these festivals in the cinemas and people pay €8 to go and see the film, except during COVID, of course, people come and see these films and are happy to see them. In other words, it's not an imposition on them. They're happy that they have this opportunity. So that was a little word to Écran des Mondes, which is my passionate work, one of my passionate workspaces at the moment.
I have another question about the documentary to ask both of you. I felt like through watching your documentary, we can feel that the inhabitants got used to their situations. So what do you think that walls can become natural for people, especially for the youngest who have never known about the former situation?
Michel, that's a question for Sharif,
please,
no?
Go ahead.
Well, this is the question, what can documentary achieve in social change? And I think Sharif was, at the very early time of this interview, was very clear about what it can achieve, because we are going behind the facts. We are going behind the scenes. And people like him create situations that can convey to an audience that is not in the direct situation that they are in, these young people that don't know anything else than the war, in showing their emotion, in showing the reality that it creates to their lives. It can show that, is this really what is our reality, and why don't we change this? Maybe the young Belfast person asks himself, once he has seen what's happening in Palestine or in Nicosia, well, it's bizarre that they have these walls. And then all of a sudden he realizes that he's living himself with a wall. And I think it's in exposing these things that we can, and calling upon our common sense in a way, that we can inspire young people to say, hey, is this really the life I want to live? What has moved me a lot in this Belfast part of the film is people, I've never been on the other side. And to admit this when you are 18, 20, 22, a bright, normal guy, it's incredible. And you need to make this kind of film so that people realize how incredible it is. So I strongly believe in the power of documentary, and not reportage, power of documentary where we show the reality of what it means in our lives, what's going on here and elsewhere. So documentary can, in a way, oblige us to travel and to see what happens elsewhere. And seeing what happens elsewhere can help us to better understand what's happening in our own lives. Sharif, would you like to add something to that?
No, I do completely agree with what Michelle said. You expressed my point of view perfectly.
And what? Sorry.
May I make a comment? Is that okay?
Of course.
Okay, thanks. So, I remember being in Europe in the 80s when Berlin was still divided, and I never made it to Berlin when I was Eurailing back then. And of course, we've seen the fall of the Berlin Wall. I was not aware of Cyprus. I was very aware of Belfast, of course, of Jerusalem. You know, we have our own wall that's gotten a lot bigger thanks to Trump here. But based on what you've seen, and I guess it sounds like Cyprus is pretty calm, each situation is very particular, very, very rooted into its own, the cultural, the religious, the political issues of each area. You know, and of course, the world was so happy to see how Germany was able to absorb and become whole again, bringing that wall down. I know Jerusalem is a big mess. I was reading, and I know that there are talks about taking down that wall in Ireland as they're continuing to add to it. Do you have any hope to see any of that come down in our lifetime? Even if the wall comes down, I think in Belfast, the division is still there. And I think, you know, the physical wall is so vulgar, but we have so many invisible walls in our everyday lives all over the world too, you know, but having it in front of us. And I remember when the Berlin Wall came down, we have a piece of it here in several places, even in LA, there's a couple of pieces of the wall. I know it's been scattered all over the world, just to remind us of those things. But even as we're reminded, many of us play part to those invisible walls in knowingly and sometimes unknowingly. You know, maybe we blind ourselves to who we really are, to what we really think or believe, because we get used to living a certain way and believing a certain way. But those walls are always there if we're not careful to kind of examine ourselves. But in terms of what you've been looking at, do you have any hope to see the wall come down in any of those areas, physically speaking, where they would maybe only leave a symbolic piece of that wall to remind people of, you know, what was there? And because the wall changes based on the people that look at it, and every generation changes the meaning of that wall as their relationship with it changes, you know. And I have all these thoughts because it's funny how I know in Palestine they throw rocks, and I did not know in Ireland they throw beer bottles. I thought that was very funny. I mean, it's sad, but it's also a social and cultural commentary about, you know, what is at hand, what is available to you to throw at people. So just a lot of things I was thinking. I've been listening. I'm assuming these are maybe film students? No, not at all. Just documentary aficionados like myself?
Not even. For me, I'm a student in tourism, and we have other students in history of arts.
Very good. Interesting. Anyway, so I just had a lot of thoughts. I have not seen the documentary yet. I will watch it later, but I have not seen it yet. So I'm excited. It's nice hearing all of you guys with your questions. It'll be a good way for me to come at it with different eyes, you know. So thank you. I'm done. I'm going to turn off my mic.
Okay, I don't know if I should answer of hoping. Sure, I hope. Realistically, I will not be surprised if we will witness demonstrations against the demolition of the walls in Cyprus and in all the three countries. I'm sure this will happen in Belfast for sure. So I will not be surprised. As you mentioned, the Trump wall. So we witness living in a world where this guy was on the command of the most powerful country of the world. So this is a little bit worrying, but I'm hoping, I'm optimistic.
Can I add a comment? I think walls probably have always existed and unfortunately will probably always exist. They are, from my point of view, the expression of our incapacity, of the human incapacity to find a peaceful way to live with the other. And this has a lot to do with where we come from. We come from a place, from a history where the law of the strongest is winning. And over a few thousand years, with what we call civilization, we are trying to go beyond the idea of the strongest is the winner. Because the strongest is the winner, this philosophy, this understanding of our world, assumes that the other is our enemy. And why do we assume that? Because we have the feeling that, for example, for food, we have to fight because otherwise somebody else will eat my food. Within the progress of our humanity, I think we had voices that have explained to us, and I am a very strong believer of this way of looking at life, that yes, the other can be an enemy. But yes, the other can also be a friend, and he can make us richer. He can inspire us. He can bring beauty into our lives. And if that's the case, how would I have the stupid idea to deny access and build a wall? But if I fear the other, then I go, oh, I'm building a wall because. And I think this is part of human nature, and I don't think we should sort of see that this is wrong. I think it's part of who we are as human beings, that sometimes we are strong and can see that it's better for all of us if we look at the other as an enhancer and as an inspiration rather than as a competitive element that can take things away from me. But nobody is perfect, including, of course, all of us. So we also have weak moments where we cannot see this, or we are incapable of seeing this. And that feeling, that situation creates the conditions for walls. In particular, if, like in the case of Trump, or in the case of the Soviet Union, when they were building and pushing the East Germans to build a wall, when they saw that this would enhance their social position within their community. Because Trump is building this wall because he thinks that many people are fearing the others. So if he becomes the champion of the wall, they will vote for him. So I think what we can do, and lots of documentary filmmakers do this, but also poets, writers, musicians, fight constantly in their work to show that the other can be also a very good thing in our lives. And there's no hope if we cannot continue to produce this. That means it's the end of dialogue. So the hope, is there hope? My answer is clearly yes, as long as we continue to fight for the understanding that together we are in a better situation. Sorry if this was long.
No, not at all. Thank you very much, Kira, for your really interesting question, and for both of you for your really interesting answers. Well, we will have to conclude, unfortunately, but we have one last question that we had to ask, knowing that we're still in the pandemic. So for you, Sharif, how is it affecting the creation of your next documentaries, of your next projects in general, and how is it affecting, for you, Michel, the functioning of Écran du Monde?
Sharif, go and shoot.
The pandemic is affecting me personally. I was in Rome till 3 months ago, so I lived completely the first wave, the first ever lockdown. It was a very hard experience, not the lockdown, but the social or physical distancing. Actually, I wrote a treatment for a fiction film talking about this topic. And I still feel very bad when I meet a very close friend after so many months or years we didn't meet, and I can't hug him. Okay, I can't shake his hands. I'm Mediterranean. I was born in Egypt, raised in Egypt, and I live in Rome. So we have this Mediterranean culture. For us, the touch, the physical contact is very important. It's part of our culture, it's part of our language, dialogue. We use our hands and we use our physical contact to express our gratitude, to express our anger, to express our happiness, to express everything. So imagine that I feel tightened, like someone is putting a belt on my body, and I do suffer. Here when I go to see my mother every 2-3 days, and I'm afraid that I can be infected and I can transmit the virus for her. So I don't kiss my mother. I don't kiss her. Okay, I just say, okay, bye-bye, like this. I cannot kiss her, my mother. I feel afraid to kiss my mother. So this is the topic I would like. If the feature film will not have a producer, then I will make a documentary about the same topic, because this is very touchy for me.
As far as I'm concerned, it's more almost operational. During the first lockdown, of course, for me, it's most important is to show the films in the cinema and to have discussion with the people who have seen the film afterwards, and to see it collectively, being together in a dark room, knowing that there are 50, 100, 80, 20 other people watching the same movie at the same time. I think this is a very enhancing social experience, which I think is important for me, certainly, but also for many other people. So we are deprived of this with the COVID. So we are doing, instead of looking at Cheryl's lovely film in the cinema, we are doing this on our computers. So I had to learn to come to terms with this, and I've used this time of the lockdowns to create this digital platform where we are putting our films so that people can see, so that this evening tonight was possible. And we had Kira with us from the United States, who shared her feelings with us. And we have you, Sherif, with us in Cairo. So this COVID situation has opened new possibilities that I wouldn't have even dreamt of before. I hope that they will not replace this wonderful experience of discovering a film in the cinema, but it's an additional chord on our instruments. So I think I decide to see this positively. And I hope that soon we can go back to the cinema, but also maybe we will have some screenings in the cinema in parallel at the same time on the platform, so that we can get the interest of a protagonist to be part of a discussion, for instance. So for me, it has opened up many new possibilities. So I'm not saying thank you, COVID, that you have been around here. I think it's a horrible thing, but there are also some positive sides in it.
So thanks to both of you for letting us see in this documentary, and thanks to all the people who participated in the debate. For those who are interested on the documentaries of Écran des Mondes, you can find it on the platform ICTVOD, and we have put the link on our Facebook page. And thanks everyone again for this amazing debate.
Thank you very much to both of you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And can you put your book in the chat so I can copy it and join and see what you guys are doing?
Yes, of course. Well, just give me 2 seconds to copy and paste. And it's great to have you following this debate from the United States. It's great to know that. And okay, Sana also copy pasted it.
Thank you. I would like to thank Michel for this opportunity. He always creates initiatives very inspiring, which I do like and admire his effort to go beyond the borders. So thank you, Michel, and thank you all for this event. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much to you.
Also, thank you from me, and I think it's great the job that you're doing to bring these films together and to have an opportunity to discuss them. Good on you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice evening, everyone. I got to get back to work. It was nice to see you, Sherif. You take care.
Nice to see you too.
Inviting me. It was very interesting. Loved it. And I hope to see more.
I'm happy. I'm happy you joined us.
Me too. It was a very, very good use of my time, and something different, something to think about. American people, the general public, they don't talk about anything. You know what I mean? They talk about sports. They talk about COVID. So it's very nice to really, be in a different platform. I mean, that's what I miss about travel. That's what I love about always leaving here and going away, so that there's interesting conversation. But yeah, with, because of COVID, we do have these opportunities, and I do love to take advantage of them. So I am so thankful for your friendship and your invitation to your meet. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Kira. Thank you.
All right. Much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
to all of you, and good evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.